Hello everyone, and welcome to another J. Robinson Art Peiloff painting project. Today we're going to be painting a very interesting project that I like to call Misty Deer. It's a deer in a misty forest. It's really simple, really easy, and a lot of fun. It's just part of the family of Peiloff projects that we offer on Peiloff.com. Any of our videos you could always watch on the YouTube channel which you're watching right now, so please subscribe so we can keep sending you some great content. Let's go over the supplies that you get. When you order a peel-off painting project, you get a nice pack of brushes that comes in a variety of different sizes. And of course, you could always use your own equipment. We give you a spatula. We give you a piece of half palette sheet so you can put your paints on. We provide you with a plastic apron. We also give you one paper towel, which you definitely want to make sure you can have several near you. And we give you an 8x10 canvas in this case with the peel attached. Our canvases do come in regular canvas, 11x14, 16x20s, and some are made to order. Off camera, I have a cup of water, which you might want to have for yourself. And our colors today are going to be green, yellow, white, and black. The one thing I like to preface with a peel-off project is you're not limited to what I'm about to show you now. I'm going to be painting one project, but you can always take peel-off to another level by being as creative as you want, pushing around a few colors. So let's take a look at the project for today. This is Misty Deer. We're going to start with a simple background. We're going to add some various different colorations of trees just to give it some variety. Some leaf-like substances or things that just add imagery to the background as well as on the ground. We're going to incorporate some yellows into the picture just to give some different colors. It's somewhat monochromatic, but again, I think it's a very interesting, very nice, very easy, and very fun painting. So let's take a look at what we have. Here we have our 8x10 canvas with our peeler fixed. And I'm going to be working with some of my own beat up brushes, which I like to introduce you to some of my brushes that have helped me create a lot of different projects. And as I stated, you can always bring in your own. These just happen to be mine. So I'm going to grab a flat brush and I'm just going to begin to add some coloration to the background. So I'm going to take some green and I'm just going to very easily up and down lavishly paint and cover the entire background and foreground. And then I'll introduce some other colors later on. But for right now, this is what I'd like to do is just introduce some color right on top of the black. Just to start everything going. And then I'm going to try to change up these colors in a moment. See, I'm just brushing straight up and down. And some of the black may show through for now, but that's fine. I'm not going to let the paint set up or dry before I start introducing the next color. So I'm going to be moving a little quickly. And because you have the peel-off project at home with you, you could always take your time. You can stop, pause, or rewind this video so you can continue to keep up with it. As well as there's always instructions that's provided. So you have a lot of different ways in which you can paint. So here we just blocking in the color just to get us started. And then as I stated, we're just going to grab a little bit of yellow and just start introducing some of that into the background just to change up the colors a little bit. And I like to mix on the canvas more than I like to mix on my palette. I just like the colors to be somewhat random. I don't want to mix on the palette and get this one blockage of color when I can allow the canvas to mix it for me and helps give me a variety. Now this just sets the tone for the background. See? And just by doing this, I give my picture like a lot of variety. It almost looks like the Matrix, right? Now the cool thing about this is you can be as imaginative or creative as you want to be. I'm going to take my brush now that I've completed it, put it in the cup, stir it. I call this ringing the bell. That sound you hear is me knocking the brush from side to side. I take my paper towel and just flatly wipe my brush. But now it's cleaned and ready for the next phase. Then what I like to do is I'm going to grab my pointed brush, or script liner brush, or round brush, dip it into a little water, wipe it on a paper towel. And from this, I'm going to grab a little bit of green, a little bit of yellow. Just want a light green color. And all I'm doing here is I'm just fakely pulling down some lines. They'll barely show up, but that's okay. I'm not looking for them to show up very strongly. I'm just trying to add some lines to represent some trees that are in this forest, way in the back. But I want them to be in this greenish color just because I want to add values to my painting. Here I'm painting over the peel. Now I'm going to purposely take and mix up a little white, a little black, make a gray, make a very light gray is what I'm looking for. Now I'm going to take that gray, I'm going to also just pull down some lines to again represent some shapes of trees and variation. And of course, for some of you, none of this makes any sense, and that's fine. It'll make sense later. And you see how I'm varying the bottoms because that helps give the trees a more in and out look. So now I'm going to go with a little bit of a darker gray, slightly darker. Pardon me, slightly darker. I'm just going to pull some of those down now. Again, I'm just looking for variety. They're not really going to be trees. They're just lines of representation of shape and form in my painting. Just trying to give a little bit of variety of coloration in this somewhat monochromatic, misty forest painting. Maybe I'll go just a slight bit darker and come with some that are maybe over here. Again, it's just giving me a variety. Like I said, I know this doesn't make much sense at this moment, but it will. Okay, now before I go any further, now that I have some of this, what I'm going to call fake looking stuff in the back, I'm going to pick up my flat brush again, but this time I'm going to grab just a tiny bit of white. I'm going to take this white and I'm going to start creating a kind of a mist in the back. So I'm just going to scrub really hard with this little tiny bit of white, all in this area behind the deer. That's going to set up the misty tone that's going to be in my forest. So I'm literally scrubbing this very tiny bit of white all over the deer, all over the trees I just made, pushing things back, misting things up, just to get me started. Let it raise up a little bit, like there. This is what I'm after now. I'm just after a kind of a background of misty white. It's kind of a smoky, almost like the air and the heat coming together to create a little dew. Just let that rise up. Okay, that's good enough for now. Now maybe I'll take a little bit of a bolder white and go more above and right over this deer here in the center of him, just to give a nice bright white and let the other stuff just phase off. So now using that same brush and a little bit of yellow, a little bit of green, I'm going to make some forage ground. So now I'm going to take right just below his legs and I'm just going to draw a line in the opposite direction of how I painted it. And that'll help set up some of the grassy ground in the forest. And yes, I am taking out my trees, but that's okay. It wasn't there for any other purpose than to give me a little variation. I'm going to come back and add later. Some of it will look like maybe shadows, and that'll work too. So I'm just going to scrub some of this greenish yellow color to give me somewhat of a ground. Maybe a little bit more green here than yellow as I get closer. There. So that establishes somewhat of a landmass now. See that? Clean off my brush again. Wiping it. Ringing the bell. Wiping it on the paper towel. Now, I'm going to go back to my pointed brush. Add a nice darker grayish value. Like this. And then pull some trees again that may go over some of the ones that I did, because I can, and bring those back to the foreground like that. So if you notice, this tree pushes all of those misty ones back. So I'm gonna grab a little bit more of this darker value, add another set of trees, maybe right along here, again going over ones that I already have, but that's okay. Just show me where things are. Just looking for a line to represent a tree. There, that's good enough. You see how it's starting to push things around a little bit? Maybe there's another one that kind of goes here. Doesn't come up as close. Maybe it stops back there. There. See? Now I'm starting to get some depth in this forest terrain, if you will. And then maybe right over here again. There's another one that comes here. Maybe it stops right about here. Put a little water on my brush. Go back and grab some of this color. And then just pull. Make that tree shape stand up a little bit. There. So now that I have that, let's go on to something else. So now what I'd like to do is I'm going to get a slightly bigger flat brush. I'm going to go into just straight black. And I'm going to pull in some darker trees. Now these trees are going to be a lot closer. So I'm going to take my time and pull them. And what I call the foot of the tree is going to come right in front of this gray one that I did. That's going to be a nice dark tree there. And then maybe over here in this area, I'll pull in a nice fat one. I'm going to pull this one all the way to the front. And the feet determine where they land, whether they're in the back or whether they're in the front. Because so you see I come in front here, that pushes this tree in front of all the others. And then maybe over here off to the side, there's another little one that lives right about here. But now if you look, all of those other lines that I made are just giving the illusion that there's a lot going on here. So now let's go to the other side. Let's jump maybe right here and say that this tree comes all the way down and rests all the way in the front, almost to the bottom of the canvas. They get nice and thick. See? And then maybe just behind it and just to the angle of this one right here, but not necessarily over the deer's tail, but it cuts maybe right in front of this one. Maybe stops right there. Let's just change that one to that look like that. There. I like those. Those are great. Except this one I want to make it a little thicker. So I'm just going to come here and go right to the side of it. Pull down a little bit more. I want this one to be a little bit thicker than the other two over here. There. See? You see what I've done? I've created a kind of an in and out. Clean off my brush. Let's add a few more to the background before we add some leaves. Except these I want to be the gray tone. So I'm going back to the pointed brush. Going to mix me up a nice gray. Then I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to pull right behind the deer. I need something to bring your eye for forage over here. And then maybe on the other side, there's another one. Just rests right about here. Maybe it sits all the way back there. Like that. Soften this one up. There. That looks good. Maybe even a little view. There's a little tiny view of maybe some kind of a limb. It's going up here. It's going up there. Maybe even a limb that comes off this one. Comes off this one. Comes off there. Now I'm going to use the same brush with just some green. I'm going to try to tap in some foliage that maybe sits, bring it up a little bit with a little white. Maybe this foliage just kind of sits as though it's kind of like growing, just to give the look of something happening in a kind of a leafy way back here in the distance, right in the center, just to make your eye come down the path. So all I'm trying to do now is guide the viewer down here by pulling in some foliage shapes. Just some shapes. I'm going to make it too serious. We'll take some green now and add some more of that just to give variation. Some in the front, some in the back. Some are close, some are far away. Just going to add some of this in here just to give it a little something. That's good. And then maybe I'll take some gray. And I'll put a few little grassy things that are maybe nestled right down here at the feet of some of these trees, as though there's some foliage that's actually on the ground back there. Then I'll take some black, come back and add some on the darker ones. Make it look like it's closer. Maybe over here, this foliage literally takes up a lot of the left side over here. Right side, sorry. Your left, my right. And then maybe even over here, there's some foliage that kind of comes out to the road a little bit. Look at that. Speaking of road, why don't we take some gray, a little white, a little bit of this, and let's just streak some stuff as if there's a little bit of a trail that can kind of be seen just a little bit, that kind of meanders itself down this way a little bit. Just some stuff that represents some kind of a trail from all the animals walk in or people walk in. We don't know. We don't know. We're not trying to guess. We're just going to scrub in some rough work here. Let the gray and the black mix together. Giving the impression that there's some kind of a pathway kind of going back this way a little bit. That's looking pretty decent. Now we're going to take this pointed brush. I'm going to twist it over here. And maybe over here, there's a little bit more of a distinct branch or something that's growing back in this way. Just to give a little bit of something to these trees. Not only to help push back, but to help bring a little bit more clarity into the foliage part of our painting. Maybe this goes all the way off the canvas like that. And these limbs could be bare. They don't have to have anything on them, but you can. It's your painting. And in mine, I'm just going to choose to make some limbs just to push some distance into the forest with these limbs overlapping, just to help again direct your eye, but also give a little bit of something extra to the painting. Maybe this one has a nice Y shape coming off of it. And maybe on this side, there's a limb that kind of sticks up back here. Maybe over here there's another one that just kind of goes up in front, over, and behind. So you see how I'm starting to create a little bit of the look of a little bit of depth. Now again, you can spend hours doing this and you could have a lot of fun creating all of the different variants, designs, and what have you. But I think for all intent, this is pretty good for me. Just going to try to widen my road a little bit more distinction to it. Oh yeah, that worked good. See that? And then if you ever have too much, you could always come in and cut some gray on top of that to soften it. You could, like I said, you could spend hours doing this stuff. Now our painting is literally almost finished. We've painted in our background. We have our foliage. We have our grass-like things growing in the back here. We have our general mist. But the thing that makes the Misty Deer really pop is when you peel it and add one more pounding of white. And I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to take our spatula or any sharp object like an X-Acto knife. I'm going to grab it by the neck. I'm just going to find any spot that I can dig under. Peel up my deer. Make sure I get all of his antlers. Like that. It's easy. Now we have our deer shape. You can leave it like that. But me, I want to add just a touch more white over this black to really push him back into the mist. And to do that, I tap into some white a little bit and I pound the brush and then I just start pounding the area. Now I don't want to cover too much, so maybe I'll take some of that off and then just take what's left and just kind of pound around my deer, all on top of him, just like this, to put him in the mist. Now this is going to take me several minutes, but in the end, what I'm going to have is a misty deer. Like he's sitting in the recesses of this mist, like the forest has slightly covered him up, draped him a little bit in a veil of mist. So the constant tapping is softening up the color. And see how I'm going right next to my tree and I'm just tapping away and allowing the paint to just get softer and softer and softer by tapping and tapping and tapping. It's not taking away my shape, it's just kind of hiding it in the mist. And there you have Misty Deer. Well, I hope you had fun. I know I did. This painting is nice, fun, and easy. You could always go back if you don't like how the bottom is here and add some vegetation. Smooth it back out just a little bit just to give some kind of a different look for yourself and put them back on the ground and you could pound yourself away. But to make a long story short, there's my Misty Deer. Well, I hope you had fun. Thank you for allowing me to come and paint with you. I look forward to showing you new and different easy and fun projects. Some can be a little bit challenging. This one just happens to be really simple, really easy, and a lot of fun. So for all you deer enthusiasts, or you people who like painting, who love pushing around a few colors and being creative, add this one to your inventory. It's just another way to have fun. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.